Hi, my name is Carina and welcome to the Carina Chronicles. Today I will tell you my favorite books of 2021 and some other statistics, and we'll just look back on a great reading year being 2021. Today did not go as planned. Everything kind of went wrong, so I'm filming this in my office because I'm doing it in between work, and that sounds very bad, but it is not, because sometimes we just have small breaks, and in these breaks I am now filming this video. So it's a little bit different. You have another background, but there are still books, so it's still booktube, you know? And a little bit of a different view doesn't hurt anyone. So I'm going to take you through all the statistics that I have of 2021. As I mentioned before, I didn't reach my reading goal of 50 books in the official way, but I did in the unofficial way. My Goodreads says I have read 38 books, but that is because I have read some other books that I didn't count for my Goodreads challenge of this year, because I wanted them to be part of my Goodreads challenge of last year, being 13 more books. So the statistics of this year started after I read those 13 books, if you understand what I mean. So that means that I did read more, but everything I'm talking about now is about the 38 books that Goodreads thought I already read. So then you know that. Of course, I'm very new to booktube, so this is the first time I do a best and worst thingy. So I do it in one video because I haven't read that many books and I've talked about the same books quite often, so I will link some videos that you can check out if you're interested in a more elaborate view on them. But I will mention some statistics now about the genres, about the amount of pages and stuff, everything Goodreads is telling me. And then I will do a top 5 of worst books and top 5 of best books of 2021. So let's quickly go into this. So Goodreads said that I already read more than 50,000 pages, almost 16,000 pages over the 38 books that I've read. And that's quite a lot, because last year I did read 50 books and I had like 18,000. So I'm going to end up higher on that. And you can also see that on my average page count, because usually every year I'm around 360 pages, sometimes a few pages higher or a few pages lower, but always 360, which is already quite high, because an average book has like 250 pages. So I'm reading on the higher side on the page count of books. And this year my average is 401 page per book. So that maybe also explains a little bit why I didn't complete 50. Because that's quite a lot. That's 40 more pages per book every time. So you can see that it takes me some time to film this video as the light is getting worse and worse. So I hope I can finish this before it's getting dark. But on to the longest book and the shortest book I've read this year. Well, not this year, 2021. The shortest book was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, with 95 pages. And it was a very, very nice book. I really liked this classic. It was really short but meaningful, so I'm happy I read it. And it also is good for your reading goal when you read such short books. So I would highly recommend that one if you're looking for some short novellas to quickly go through. And the longest book I've read, so for which this definitely doesn't count, is A Feast for Crows, the 4th part in the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. This is one of my favorite series of all time. So I'm of course happy that I've read it, and it was a 5-star rating, or was it a 4-star rating? I don't remember. I think it was a 4-star rating, but I still really liked it. But it was 1061 pages, so it was pretty long. So that one is not a quick read. And also George R.R. Martin writes very, very good, but very dense texts. So it's also like normally I can read 70 pages per hour or something. With him I read like 40. So then 1,000 pages is so long. So long. So it took me forever, but it was great. My average rating was 3.7 stars out of 5, which is a little bit higher than normally, which surprised me because I had a lot less 5-star ratings. But I think I also had a lot less 2-star ratings, so it was just more compressed into 3 and 4-star ratings, which made it apparently a little bit higher. Although I didn't really feel like it was my best reading year. And the most shelved book, so that means people also want to read this book or have read this book or have it on their shelves in Goodreads terms, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. And that is fine. I knew it was very popular, but it is also the highest rated book that I have read. And I do not agree with that, because I have read incredible books this year and also very popular ones. And I'm so mad that this book that I thought was meh is the highest of all of them. That's just, I cannot. But okay. And the least shelved book was Gevangen or Imprisoned, the Dungeons and Dragons like escape room book that I did, because no one else has it on their shelves. So if you want to read that, please do, so that I'm not the only one and I can discuss it with people. That would be nice. I wanted to discuss some statistics with you, but I decided to make pretty graphs because I really like them and just put them on the screen at the end of the video, because I always feel a little bit dumb when you can read on the screen what is happening and someone is literally reading what it says. So I'm just going to put at the end of the video the genres and how many books I read and some more statistics, and you can quickly read through them with a little music on the background. So that means it's time for the 5 best and the 5 worst books of 2021. And I'm of course starting with the worst books because I want to end on a positive note. And the first positive thing is that when I was thinking about the best books, I could easily come to a top 5, and the worst books I could not. So that's a good thing, I think. But in the end, I made a top 5. So that means that number 5 is actually not as bad as number 1, if you know what I mean. Okay, I decided I can do it. And that is because normally my average, like if it's just a good book, but nothing really special, I give it 3 stars. And I rated this list books below 3 stars, that in my top 5 I should mention books that were actually just good and fine, and I'm not gonna do that. So I made a top 3 because there are only 3 books that I rated less than 3 stars. And I'm really surprised that actually happened, and I'm really happy about it. But there are still 3 books that I thought were very not so good. But they were all 2-star rating. I didn't rate any book 1 star this year. I'm really surprised to see that, because, okay, I almost never rate books 1 star. But there's always like one that's really, really bad. And I didn't have it this time. So on number 3, so the least worst book of the year, is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Byron. And I am really disappointed that this is in my worst books of the year. This book has had so much hype and everyone seemed to love it, and the concept is just so great. It is a Cinderella retelling, but then some kind of feministic patriarchy destruction fantasy. Sounds great. No. It wasn't. The characters were annoying, everyone was annoying, the story was not great, not interesting. And maybe I didn't put it on like the first or second position in this list because I also think that I had maybe too high expectations for this one. So that didn't really help, but I thought it was just horrible. I am still going to read her newer books like This Poison Heart and the sequel to that, because she can always get better. It was only her debut novel and her concepts are just great. I really hope that one day one concept will like click with me and the execution is also really good. Hi, Karina from the future here. So, I have come to a conclusion. I should stop making stressed, hurried videos because I again lost footage. This has been a common theme in the last videos, and it's highly annoying for editing, Karina, to miss footage. So I should stop doing that, but for now I'm going to repeat what I was saying, being the top 2 of the worst books of 2021. And I was so passionate about hating them. And now I need to do it again. Highly, highly annoying. But okay, on second position is Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Shaid. And those 2 people are incredible. So please don't let me keep you from reading anything by them, because they deserve to be read and they are awesome people, but the books are just not for me. This book is a romance and it's a little bit about politics, people going door to door for promotion of voting for president. And there were a few things. The romance I didn't care for at all. The writing I didn't care for, I really didn't like it. And also the voting process is very different from how it went in the Netherlands. So I also couldn't really connect with the story in that way, because I really couldn't recognize it. So really wouldn't recommend that book. Sorry. I read it as a travel book, so that means that other people annotate it and then I read it and I annotate it, and it was someone else's book and I made a lot of annotations and they were not very good. So then you know. And the absolute worst book I read in 2021 is a Dutch book, so you can be happy. If you're not a Dutch person, you will never have to read this book. If you are a Dutch person, please don't read it. Just don't do it. Don't be like me and be like, oh, I need to read this book. I need to read it. But no. Nope. It is Woensdag gehaktdag by Richard Klinkhamer, or Wednesday Minced Meat Day, or something like that. It is written by an actual murderer about the murder on his wife, but it is kind of fiction, so he wrote like very different ways he could have murdered his wife and why. But he, in the end, actually did murder his wife, and he got convicted for that. So, that is kind of weird. I wanted to read the book because everyone in the Netherlands knows the title of this book, but no one actually read the book because everyone is disgusted, and so was I, but I was interested as well. Don't read it. The author really loves himself. He's not funny. He thinks he is, but he's not. It's very disgusting and nothing really works. I didn't give it 1 star because at the end you had like the files of the lawsuit, and that was very interesting in my opinion. So I learned something by it. So not 1 star but 2 stars, but not because of the author. So please don't read it. The best books of the year was an easier thing for me to do because there were 6 books that I rated 5 stars and I could pick 5 out of them because the other book was a reread that I still really liked, but was mostly also good because of the nostalgic feeling. So the 5 other books are the books that I decided to put in this top 5. But then the order of them was really hard. Really hard. I really don't know. I want you to read them all. I decided already on a favorite book, but then, what then? I really don't know. I also have a feeling that the longer ago it is that I read them, the lower they get in the top 5, and I didn't want that. So just read all 5 of these books. They are all great, but if you want an order, here's my order. Can you believe it? Even the whole talk about my top 5 best books, I deleted. Why would you do that? How? Ugh. I am so annoyed by myself. But okay, let me go through them. I, by now, because I'm editing the video, know that it's going to be a very long video, so it's better to talk about them quickly anyway. So I will do that. Just that. On the 5th position, so a book that I actually really liked, but yeah, apparently not that much as the rest, is Descent by Cixin Liu. And that's the last part in the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy by him. It's a very hard science fiction trilogy. It's one of my favorite series ever. I really, really liked it. But it's very hard to get through. Not because of his writing style. Well, it is because of his writing style, but it's perfection. But it's not on the highest position in this top 5 because it actually got me in kind of a reading slump. It took me like 2 months to read this, which is part of the reason that I didn't finish that much books. So I couldn't put it on top. And it's just because it's such a difficult language. But I really, really like it anyway. And you should really read it. Definitely when you're a science fiction fan, because this is amazing. If you're not a science fiction fan, I wouldn't really recommend it because it's just science fiction. And very hard one. So, okay. On the 4th position, we have The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. That's a young adult fantasy that I just talked about. It was actually the last book that I read before I filmed this video. And it just became a favorite of mine. It is really awesome young adult fantasy. And it differs from other young adult fantasies because of the characters. Well, the plot is also interesting. But the characters are just incredible. They are all very supportive of the main character. And I really love that for a change. Because usually you have a very toxic environment of the main character. The main character is misunderstood, makes weird decisions because they have no support system. And I always feel very, very, very bad. So it's a very good change that in this book, the people actually mean well. They are flawed people, but of course, every person is flawed and has their own thingies, but at least they all meant good, apart from the villain, of course. But the villain also had a great character arc. So really would recommend this book. It would suffice as a standalone, but it is a duology, so I'm looking to reading The Queen's Resistance, the second part in this duology. Then on the 3rd position, we have Anxious People by Frederick Backman. This book is just great. I'm not going to tell very much about it. It is about a bank robber taking people hostage when he is robbing a bank and it's going wrong. And then they start talking and that's all you should know. It is not a thriller. Maybe it sounds like that, but it is not. It is a contemporary fiction and it's about teaching you something about humanity. And it's so good. It's really, 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 really good. So read it. And then on the 2nd position, almost on the 1st, I really had a doubt, but in the end, it was clear to me. But on 2nd position, we have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a book written about a fictional celebrity, and it's written so well that you have the feeling that you know this celebrity and you have always wanted to know more about them, which is so weird because it's actually made up. But the book is set as kind of an interview with this celebrity about her life. And we're going through her life by the 7 husbands that she married. And it is so good and so emotional and definitely worth the hype. And then on the 1st position, also a very hyped book, but in my opinion, very worth the read. That's The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is a mythology tale about Achilles in ancient Greek. The story that Madeline Miller wrote is actually hinted towards in the stories by Homerus and stuff. Oh, I don't know how you say that in English, but Homer. Homer is it in English. But it is actually hinted, but not written out. So she just elaborated on what he wrote and wrote a story of her own that she thought fitted the story. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. You should really read it. And she only wrote one other book, being Circe. And I got this from a publisher for free to review and to see if I also like that one just as much. So I'm going to read that very soon, and maybe it will be in my favorite books of 2022. So those were the 5 favorite books of mine from 2021. Thought about them again from the future. But just as enthusiastic, read these books. They are incredible. So that was actually everything I wanted to talk to you about. I am going to put the statistics up on the screen now. And one more other thing that Carina from the future is telling you right now. I made the graphs and I made them after I filmed the rest of the video. And they are so pretty. I am so happy with this video. I really hope you like it because I really, really did like it. But I decided to take the 13 books that I also read this year but didn't put on Goodreads in this year, as I explained before. I did put them in the statistics for the graphs because then I have read 51 books. I said 53 earlier in another video, but that was when I thought I would finish The Master and Margarita and Slaughterhouse-5 in the year as well. So I've read 51 books this year and I put them all in the statistics. So I hope you enjoy. Please let me know. I really want to make this a reoccurring thing every year. So please let me know what you think about it. Enough Carina of the future. Back to present me. And as you now have seen that, I want to wish you a very happy new year. I know I already did that, but this is the first time I actually film in the new year. So, you know. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did. If you subscribe to my channel and you click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! I have no clue why I didn't pick up the books that I wanted to show you. That is so weird. But I think it was because I just had a very hectic day. But I still liked the video. I hope you did too. Bye!